Hello everyone, happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me. It is great to have you here. I hope you have big plans for the weekend, but I hope you can stay cool wherever you are. It's hot here, that much I know. Several things I want to talk about today, but I want to start with a story that I found when I was panning for gold. And this story appears in the Gateway Pundit, and it has to do with another potential mass exodus from New York City. Now, this story is in the Gateway Pundit. It's penned by one of their columnists, Mike LaChance, and the headline reads, "New York real estate brokers say they've been flooded with calls from people looking to flee the city after Mamdani primary win." He says some Jewish people are planning to flee New York City after communist Muslim Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic primary race for mayor. Now it's being reported that some real estate brokers in New York City were flooded with calls from people looking to flee the city within minutes of Mamdani's win. People are horrified by the prospect of this man being in charge of America's most iconic city. It goes on to say that this particular real estate agent, his name is Ryan Serhant, he says, "My number one job will be moving people from New York to Florida again. Based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investment in New York City." According to a note I reviewed, one client who had made an offer on a Chelsea apartment sent her broker an email minutes after former Governor Cuomo conceded to Zohran Mamdani. "We are going to take a break from looking until there's more clarity on the mayoral election," the client wrote. Other client asked, where else can we go? People are frightened over the next 3 to 4 months, we're going to see a lot of people considering South Florida again. South Florida is basically turning into New York, folks. You know, Florida is not a southern state, unless you're up around the Panhandle. The peninsula of Florida is, at least on the coastlines, it's not a southern state at all. I know, I used to live there. I went to college there. I used to live there. He says it's going to be a COVID level of interest again. These are people who can afford to move with relative ease. Now, Robbie Starbuck tweeted this. He said, "If this guy wins," talking about Mamdani, "I'll bet y'all the New York Stock Exchange and every major hedge fund moves to Florida within the next 4 years. Crime will skyrocket. The people who created wealth in New York City will flee his socialist policies, and many jobs will leave to total disaster," unquote. Just to get you up to speed in case you don't know, but most of you probably do, in the primary election Tuesday night for the Democratic Party in New York, this man who many call a communist, a Muslim, Mamdani, he was formerly, or is a councilman. He defeated Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic nomination. Now it's not over, but typically the Democrat wins this seat, the mayor's race. Current mayor Eric Adams bolted the Democratic Party to the Independent Party, and he's running as an independent and the incumbent. And what's going to happen, I predict, is that I believe every other player is going to have to coalesce behind Eric Adams if they're going to defeat this man. There's just so many wacky people in New York City that would actually put this guy into office. It's such a shame. But that's where we are. But this man is predicting yet another mass exodus from the financial center of the world, New York City, to Florida, if he actually wins. And right now, I would say the odds are he's going to win, and New York is just going to continue its epic decline. All right, folks, I have got to get to Thomas Massie again, and it's because it's in the news. Yet again, the reason it's in the news again is because Donald Trump, as you probably know, established a PAC specifically for the purpose of defeating Thomas Massie. Just a little backstory, just in case you don't know. Thomas Massie is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. He's a libertarian from Kentucky. He represents the 4th District of Kentucky. He checks all the boxes, folks. He is for limited government. He is for very low taxation. He is for no war. He is for tax cuts. He is for a small budget for the government. He wants to cut the budget. He is pro-taxpayer. He is pro-liberty. He's pro-freedom. He is everything you would want in a representative in Washington. And because Thomas Massie will not support Trump's absurd, pork-filled, pork-laden, big, beautiful bill, Donald Trump is frankly butthurt now about it, and he's acting like a bully. He's acting like a junior high student on the playground who is not for once getting his way, and the only way he knows to respond to Representative Massie is by being a bully and trying to force him out of the Congress simply because he will not play ball with Donald Trump. He is doing his job, and for that, he is being penalized. Well, Donald Trump has funded this PAC to the tune of $1 million to try and unseat the very popular Congress Massie. And this is the first shot across the bow. This is the first ad, the Trump Super PAC. I mean, can you believe this? This is a Republican president attacking a Republican representative and member of Congress. This is unprecedented as far as I know. Ronald Reagan would never do anything like this. But here's the ad that I want to show you now. I believe it's about 30 seconds long, financed by Trump's $1 million PAC for the express purpose of unseating Thomas Massie. This is, just watch, you'll see what I'm talking about.
To Thomas Massie. President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massie voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000. Massie voted against it. President Trump is securing our border and deporting criminal aliens. Massie voted against Trump again. And after Trump obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, Massie sided with Democrats and the Ayatollah. Let's fire Thomas Massie. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertising.
When I first saw that ad, I was absolutely disgusted. I don't want to get into this again. I've talked ad nauseum about how I believe I'm objective about Donald Trump, and I am. When he's right, when I think he's right, I'm going to say so. When he's wrong, I'm going to say so. Right now, Donald Trump is acting like a bully and a child, if you ask me. And this is conduct unbecoming any adult, much less the President of the United States. This ad is disgusting. It is disgraceful. It's something you would expect from any Democrat, but this is what you're getting from Donald Trump. Now, let me address part of the content of this ad, or rather, let Representative Massie address this. This is what he said this morning. It's Friday, of course. This is what he said this morning in response to the Trump Super PAC attack, this disgusting attack ad. He said this, and I quote, "The big, beautiful bill now allows funding sex changes for minors. This ad slams me for voting against the big, beautiful bill, but the Senate just stripped the ban on sex changes for minors from the big, beautiful bill. By the ad's twisted logic, those who support the Senate's edits now support sex changes for minors," unquote. That's the truth. So this 30-second disgusting ad financed by Donald Trump's PAC is nothing but one lie, one big not so beautiful lie. Just the whole editing of the ad and the presentation of Massie as some dark, evil character. And of course, there you've got Don all in red, white, and blue and colorful, but Massie is he almost looks like he's in Hades or something. It's just disgusting. What this attack is just unbecoming of Donald Trump. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you of something that Trump has said over the years repeatedly. He has basically reminded us repeatedly over the years that if he's elected to the president, he's going to go to Washington, and what's he going to do? He's going to make America great again, and he said he's going to drain the swamp. What a joke that is. You can't get anybody less swampy than Thomas Massie. It is true the Beltway is full of swamp critters. Thomas Massie ain't one of them. Rand Paul ain't one of them. Yet it's people like this that Donald Trump attacks over and over and over again, and he pouts, pooches his lips out, acts like a child because they won't go along with him when he's wrong. And he's wrong about this big, beautiful bill. We need single-issue bills before Congress, folks. Single-issue bills. Let's vote on this issue, and we're done with that. Then let's vote on this issue. Now we're done with that. Stop combining 100 different things into one big, not-so-beautiful bill. You're forcing people's hands. And this is what Massie is explaining in his rebuttal to this ad. Donald Trump needs to get his priorities right. He can't stand Thomas Massie, but he loves Lindsey Perpetual War Graham of South Carolina. And buddy, if Massie is the least swampy critter in Washington, they don't get much swampier than Lindsey Graham, who has already received Donald Trump's endorsement for re-election not next year. Nobody else even hardly had a chance to get going to challenge Graham for the Senate seat. You don't get any swampier than Lindsey Graham. So what's this jazz about we're going to drain the swamp? Well, that's utter nonsense. You're not draining the swamp. You are abetting the swamp, Mr. President. You're assisting the swamp. You are attacking a man who is the epitome of what the swamp is not. If I worded that right. Thomas Massie is as red, white, and blue as you can get. He's as patriotic as you can get. He is as faithful to the Constitution as you can get. He has conviction. He will not be swayed. He will not bow. He will not compromise, and for that, his president attacks him. Mr. President, how come you never go after any Democrat the way you're going after Thomas Massie? Not one. How come you don't go after people like Lindsey Graham or John Cornyn or Mitch McConnell or Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski, or some of these nutty Republicans? How come you never go after any of them? You never went after Romney like this. You never went after the Bushes like this. Why are you so singularly focused on Thomas Massie? Why this relentless, unmerciful attack on this good and decent man, who's also a widower, I might add? Lost his wife last year. Whether that's relevant is for you to decide. This is not draining the swamp, folks. This is the exact opposite. This just blows my mind. You're going to spend $1 million, and it won't end there, because now, of course, Trump finances the thing to this PAC, Political Action Committee. He finances it for $1 million, and of course now every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to contribute to it. So Thomas Massie is facing the fight of his life, even though I predict he's still going to win. And he needs to win. And I've got to be honest, Donald Trump, needs a big slice of humble pie on this here matter. And I hope and pray he gets it. I hope Thomas Massie wins by the widest of margins. I hope that this clown, whoever is going to be the candidate, I don't know who it is yet. They haven't exposed themselves yet, but they're going to be well financed. I hope they don't get 5% of the vote. I hope Thomas Massie beats them like a cheap drum and sends a message to Donald Trump. But I've got a really good idea. I have got a really good idea. I don't know if anybody else has thought of this except for me. I wish that I could pick up the telephone and call this man, because we could give a really interesting twist to the political race in the 4th District of Kentucky. You know who I'd love to talk to? I'd like to call this old boy and I'd say, hey, buddy, you want to make things really interesting in Kentucky? I know you've had some problems with Donald Trump because you did some really good work and you kind of had a falling out with Donald Trump. And if you'd like to make a point, Lord knows you've got the money. If you really want to make things interesting, Elon Musk, why don't you start a PAC that opposes Trump's PAC in the 4th District? Let's just have a showdown in Kentucky. How about that? Elon Musk, who went to Washington to root out excessive spending and corruption and all these wild items in the budget. You can cut here, you can cut here, you can cut. He was saving us potentially untold billions of dollars. And nothing's going to come of it, folks. Everybody was talking about the Doge cuts, the Doge cut. It was all for show, obviously. You know, kind of like we're going to get to the bottom of the Epstein files and the JFK files and all that. Kind of like that. Pam Blondie, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. But wouldn't that be a sight to have a showdown in Kentucky, which would ostensibly be a gigantic taffy pull between the President of the United States and Elon Musk? Trump puts in $1 million. Elon Musk could certainly put in $1 million. Wouldn't it be something if this could just be the battleground, ground zero, where those who really do want to drain the swamp, those who really do want to follow the Constitution, those who really do want Donald Trump to keep his word and drain the swamp, could join with Elon to re-elect Thomas Massie to Congress. I would love, would that just not be, you talk about the ultimate boxing match. I would love to see it. I want Donald Trump to be sent a message that you can't do this. You're not going to act like a bully to this good and decent man. We need a Congress full of Thomas Massies, and it's as simple as that. Okay. I've got a very wonderful, nostalgic blast from the past that I want to play for you now. And it is from the late, great Rush Limbaugh. Many of you will remember, of course, Rush Limbaugh, who's been dead, I guess, 3 or 4 years now. Rush Limbaugh absolutely revolutionized radio. Rush Limbaugh, to my mind, was the greatest voice in radio since Paul Harvey, and he surpassed that in my estimation. The man had upwards of 15 to 20 million listeners. He had tremendous influence in the country. I would often listen to Rush on a regular basis, and he would often have me yelling at the radio or pulling out my hair at some of the things he said, pardon me, because I often found myself in disagreement with Rush, quite frankly. And I say that because Rush was a neocon. He was a Bush-like figure. He supported everything the Bushes did. He supported the Mideastern wars we had no business getting into. I think by the time it was all over, he probably knew that we were mistaken to do what we did. But he was still, I never questioned Rush Limbaugh's patriotism, his love of country. Rush Limbaugh was a really good man. I said yesterday I'd love to be the next door neighbor of Donald Trump. I've said the same thing of Rush Limbaugh. I think he was a really good guy. I think he was wrong about a lot of things, but he was a lot more right than he was wrong. I'll put it that way. And he was a great man. And it's a shame that we lost him when we did. And there's just been this giant void. I wrote a column about him one time, and I said losing Rush Limbaugh is kind of like losing Elvis. I mean, you just don't replace them. It's just this void that's there now, and nobody's going to fill it. People have tried. His radio show was taken over by two men trying to fill his shoes, and they're not any. I can't even listen to them. Nobody could replace Rush Limbaugh. But I want to play for you a clip of Rush Limbaugh speaking on the topic of illegal immigration. I've talked about illegal immigration a lot on my channel, so I'm not going to say much more about it. I'm just going to let you enjoy this little clip from Rush Limbaugh, who is talking about illegal immigration. I just found this clip at random, and I thought, man, I really want to share that with folks. So I want you to give it a listen and watch this, and I'll come back and have a few closing words. Pay close attention.
Everybody's making immigration proposals these days. Let me add mine to the mix. Call it the Limbaugh laws. First, you immigrate to our country, you have to speak the native language. You have to be a professional or an investor. No unskilled workers allowed. Also, there'll be no special bilingual programs in the schools with the Limbaugh laws, no special ballots for elections, no government business will be conducted in your language. Foreigners will not have the right to vote or hold political office. If you're in our country, you cannot be a burden to taxpayers. You are not entitled to welfare or food stamps or other government goodies. You can come if you invest here, an amount equal to 40,000 times a daily minimum wage. If not, stay home. But if you want to buy land, it'll be restricted. No waterfront, for instance, and as a foreigner, you have to relinquish individual rights to the property. And another thing, you don't have the right to protest. You're allowed no demonstrations, no foreign flag waving, no political organizing, no bad-mouthing our president or his policies. You're a foreigner. Shut your mouth or get out. And if you come here illegally, you're going to jail. Now, you think the Limbaugh laws are harsh? Well, every one of the laws I just mentioned are actual laws of Mexico today. That's how the Mexican government handles immigrants to their country. Yet Mexicans come here illegally and protest in our streets. How do you say double standard in Spanish? How about no mas?
Oh, Rush, I miss you, buddy. Rush was great at what he did. It's interesting what he said there, don't you think? I've got my own views about illegal immigration. I'm opposed to it. If you want to know the truth of the matter, I'm opposed to immigration, period. I think we should at least have a moratorium until we get our house in order. But Rush Limbaugh is listing the Limbaugh laws with regard to illegal immigration, which turn out to be the laws of Mexico. It's as simple as that. So it's not unprecedented. It's not out of line that we would close our doors, if you will, and just say, unless you can play by these rather strict rules, you can't come in. And it's as simple as that. Okay, folks, I think I'm going to end it there. Everybody go out there, have a great weekend. I really appreciate you joining me today. And I took quite a number of steps this morning. My leg's a little sore, but I'm still getting around. Keep me in your prayers. I need to get better quick. I am ready to get out there and get at it again. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you soon.